Hi there and welcome to your very first School Frogs tutorial on John Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men. In this first tutorial we're going to look at our first impressions of the main character George Milton. So let's get started. In order to say something about your first impressions or anything at all about a character, it's important to use quotations. So we're going to start off with one of the earliest bits of information that we find out about George. So this quotation can be found in the first section of the novel when George and Lenny enter the scene. So it says, "The first man was small and quick, dark of face, with restless eyes and sharp, strong features. Every part of him was defined: small, strong hands, slender arms, a thin and bony nose." Now you'll notice that I've coloured and underlined some key words. That's because these are the words that I'm going to talk about in a bit more detail. Now, I have used pretty much the whole quote there, and I could have used even more, but I'm just going to stick with these words and phrases for now. So hopefully this will give you some ideas as a starting point, and obviously you can agree or disagree with what I say. It's entirely up to you, and at the end of the day, it's your interpretation. So let's have a look at the first part of our quotation. George is described as small and quick. So what does this mean? Well, literally it means that he wasn't very tall and that he moved quite fast. So that's all very well and good, but what does it mean? What insights can it give us into his character as a whole? Because we don't just want to take things literally here, we want to kind of read between the lines a little bit and see what Steinbeck's trying to get at about this character. So, George's physical description could also suggest how he is inside, and that goes for all of the characters that we're going to look at. Now, obviously, as we've said, small means that he's quite short, but it could suggest that he's also small in terms of his outlook on the world. Okay, he just needs small, simple things to be happy, and we find out later on that really he doesn't want that much in life. He just wants a nice, straightforward, simple life. He's also described as being quick, which could also mean, as well as moving quickly physically, his mind is very quick. He's able to work things out very quickly and draw conclusions, quite quickly. So that's the first bit. So the second bit we're going to look at, he's described as dark of face with restless eyes and sharp, strong features. Now, again, you can take it literally. Yeah, his face was kind of dark, probably because he works outside. His eyes were restless. Yeah, he's probably looking around, seeing where they're going. And he's got sharp, strong features. He's got good genes. He's, good-looking guy. But it also can mean something else. Dark face could represent his moods. Okay, we often get a sense of somebody's character and their mood through their face, so we can talk about dark moods. Maybe he loses his temper quite quickly, and certainly his restless eyes could suggest that. Could suggest that he's nervous about something, but often when we're kind of fidgety, we're on the edge a little bit, we could kind of lose it. We could go one way or the other. Our eyes can become quite restless. So he's quite alert, but also his mood can change quickly as well. He's also described as being defined physically, so he's not just some blob of a character. He's got a very distinctive nose, eyes, mouth. He's quite skinny, so you can imagine he's quite muscular, that type of thing. So we can see his features clearly and accurately. But again, this could also suggest the way he sees things. Okay, you might think I'm reading a bit too much into it here, but there is evidence to suggest later on in the book that this is true, because unlike Lenny, George actually sees the world very clearly and very accurately, and he's very precise about things. Okay, he's also described as having small, strong hands. Now, hands are interesting in this novel because every character practically has their hands described at some point. Now, you might think, yeah, okay, so what? Big deal. That's what their hands are supposed to look like. Well, okay, but if you think about it, if you were describing somebody, would you describe their hands? If you wanted to give a description of someone so that somebody else could recognise them, you're probably not going to talk about their hands. You're probably going to talk about their hair, their height, their weight, their skin colour, the colour of their eyes, something like that. Maybe whether they wear glasses or not, or what kind of clothes they wear. But unless there's something really odd about their hands, you're probably not going to describe them. And the fact is, there's nothing odd about George's hands, but Steinbeck takes the time to tell us something about them. And the reason he does that with this character and other characters is he's giving us an insight into what their character is all about. So here again, small is used earlier on in the quotation when he's described as small and quick, again suggesting that, you know, small, simple life, that type of thing. But it could also suggest that he's kind of insignificant in the world at large. He's just an ordinary guy. Strong is also used again here. His hands are strong and his features are strong. Having strong hands could mean that he's a good worker, but also emphasises this idea of strength of character. So, on the whole, what can we say about our first impression of George? Well, the description is suggesting that he's physically and mentally strong and agile. So by agile I mean fast moving, physically and in terms of his mind. And although he's just not an ordinary guy, the description suggests that he's quite clever and that he's determined to survive at whatever cost. Now, if you've read to the end of the novel, you'll understand that a little bit more. And as you read through, you'll start to see what's significant about some of these first impressions. Okay, so that's it. That's just my ideas. Obviously, the whole point of this is that you come up with your own ideas as well. So don't just look at this quotation, go further into the novel and see what else you can figure out about George. If you want to check out some of our other resources, you can go to www.lulu.com Spotlight Schoolfrog, where you can download some PDFs. They're pretty cheap, just cost you a couple of pounds or a couple of dollars depending on where in the world you are, but they're kind of useful, and some of them use this sort of format. Also, if you want to keep up to date with what we're up to at Schoolfrog, you can visit our blog at schoolfrog.blogspot.co.uk. Okay, thanks very much for watching, and hope to see you next time when we look at the character of